It was refreshing, and then everybody started talking about it, and we went back and looked at a couple more films, and then
You thought Clint Eastwood was the calm, wise, untouchable icon of Hollywood. But think again. At 95, the legend finally dropped his cool exterior, exposing a side darker and more bitter than anyone ever imagined. He's calling out 6 stars who betrayed him when he needed them most. These were people who shared the spotlight, who stood beside him in the golden days, and then turned their backs when it mattered most. Once you hear their names, you'll get why Clint Eastwood never forgave and never forgot. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It only takes a few seconds and really helps the channel. Now, let's get into it. Number 1, Leonardo DiCaprio, the golden boy himself. But Clint Eastwood, he never forgave him. So what could possibly make a legend like Clint walk off his own movie set? The answer: Leonardo DiCaprio. When J. Edgar began filming in 2010, everyone thought it was a match made in movie heaven. Hollywood's calmest director paired with its most intense star, but insiders say it became a quiet nightmare from the very first day. DiCaprio showed up armed like a professor, stacks of notes, deep historical research, even highlighted FBI files. Crew members whispered that Clint's patience ran out fast. Clint reportedly laughed once, saying, "He came in like a detective trying to solve me, but I wasn't the case." But behind that humor, pure irritation. And it only got worse. Then came the breaking point, the emotional breakdown scene. Leo nailed it on the first take. Raw, powerful, flawless. The room went silent. Clint muttered, "Perfect, cut." But Leo, he wanted another and another. And by the 6th take, Clint wasn't even behind the camera anymore. He stood at the craft table, coffee in hand, face like stone. Someone asked if he was okay, and he just muttered, he's still searching for something. That's when everyone realized Clint Eastwood wasn't impressed anymore. He was done. When filming wrapped, there was nothing but silence. Clint's kind of silence. Casting meetings after that felt just the same. Whenever DiCaprio's name came up, Clint would shake his head and mutter, "Great actor, but not my kind." That was it. No drama, no public feud, just a clean cut. They've never reunited, never shared a stage, and haven't spoken a single word since. Leo got his Oscar years later, but he never got another Eastwood call. Because to Clint, perfection isn't about repeating greatness, it's about doing it once and walking away forever. Number 2, Michael Moore, the man who pushed Clint too far. The moment Michael Moore compared American Sniper to Nazi propaganda, he might as well have fired the last shot in a battle that never should have started. Clint didn't yell, didn't clap back, he just froze him out completely. But that blow-up didn't come out of nowhere. Their tension had been brewing since 2005, when Clint was on stage at the National Board of Review Awards. He stared out at the crowd and growled, "If Michael Moore ever shows up at my door with a camera, I'll kill him." The audience laughed nervously, but Clint didn't. He just looked straight ahead, said nothing more, and walked off the stage. That wasn't a punchline. That was a warning. To really get the grudge, you have to understand what Clint stands for. Discipline, quiet service, and old-school honor. He came up in a world where respect wasn't just earned, it was sacred. To him, Michael Moore's documentaries, especially Fahrenheit 9/11, were loud politics dressed up as art. Moore saw soldiers as pawns. Clint saw them as heroes. He once told a close friend, "It's about respect." Then, almost 10 years later, Moore mocked American Sniper online, saying it reminded him of the Nazi sniper film from Inglourious Basterds. He tried to play it off as a joke, but Clint's team said he was furious. One longtime collaborator put it perfectly. He doesn't forget insults. He deletes people from his world, and that's exactly what Clint did. Since that tweet, Michael Moore's name has been erased from Clint's orbit like it never existed. Eastwood's worked with liberals, conservatives, and everyone in between, but there's one thing he won't tolerate: mocking soldiers. To Clint, that's not just disrespect. That's spitting on everything he believes in. Moore didn't just cross the line, he stomped all over it. These days, if you even mention Michael Moore in Clint's presence, the conversation ends right there. No eye contact, no reaction, just silence. The Clint Eastwood kind of silence. Number 3, Barbra Streisand, the perfectionist who dared to provoke the cowboy. If there's one name that still makes Clint Eastwood's jaw tighten after 9 decades in the industry, it's hers. She's the one who got under his skin so deeply that to this day, he refuses to say her name in interviews. Their feud became one of the coldest, most quiet rivalries in Hollywood history. It all started back in the early 1980s, when both were shifting from acting to directing. Streisand was the queen of precision. She'd demand 40, 50, sometimes even 60 takes just to get one perfect expression. Clint, total opposite. 2 takes, maybe 3, and move on. He believed, if it's not real the first time, it's not worth filming. To him, Barbra represented everything wrong with the new Hollywood: control freaks, vanity, and endless overthinking. By the early 90s, that creative tension turned into open contempt. When The Prince of Tides missed a Best Director nomination in 1992, Clint was overheard telling a friend, maybe if she made decisions faster, she'd finish more than 3 films in 15 years. That line spread through Hollywood like wildfire. Then came The Bridges of Madison County, the project that shattered whatever fragile piece they had left. Streisand had originally been attached to direct it, but dropped out after years of indecision. Clint swooped in, rewrote the script, directed it his way, and turned it into a quiet, emotional masterpiece. The movie earned Meryl Streep an Oscar nomination and gave Clint the sweetest revenge of all without him having to say a single word. Since then, they've completely avoided each other. No events, no calls, no polite smiles, nothing. For Clint, Barbra became the living symbol of everything he despised in filmmaking: hesitation, control, and the slow death of instinct. Number 4, Tommy Lee Jones, the one alpha Clint Eastwood couldn't tame. From the very first day of shooting in the Line of Fire in 1993, Clint reportedly leaned toward a crew member and muttered, "2 bulls in 1 pen, this won't last." And wow, was he right? At first, everyone thought the pairing would be perfection. 2 tough legends, same old school grit, but behind the camera, it was a duel, and nobody was backing down. Tommy Lee Jones doesn't take quiet direction from anyone. He barked out orders, argued over lines, and kept acting long after Clint yelled, "Cut!" Clint, who ran his sets calm and silent, just watched in disbelief. One technician said he'd stay in character between takes, pacing and growling, and Clint would just stare at him like, "What are you doing?" The boiling point came during a fiery confrontation scene. Jones loomed over Clint, completely in character, spitting every line with venom. Clint yelled, "Cut!" But Jones didn't stop. He kept going, glaring straight into Eastwood's eyes. The entire crew froze. You could have heard a pin drop. After a long, tense pause, Clint leaned toward his assistant and whispered, "Life's too short for that kind of theater." Then he simply walked off set. That was it. Decision made. When casting directors later brought up Jones for future Eastwood projects, Clint didn't hesitate. "He's a great actor," he'd say, "but we don't speak the same language." Translation? Never again. Since then, they've never reunited, never shared a stage, and never mentioned each other in interviews. In Clint's world, there's only room for one alpha, and he's the one calling cut. Number 5, Richard Burton, the legend who nearly pushed Clint's patience to the breaking point. Clint Eastwood rarely loses his cool, but during the 1968 filming of Where Eagles Dare, Richard Burton came dangerously close to making it happen. Their clash wasn't about fame or ego, it was about work ethic. Burton showed up late, slurred his lines, and often reeked of last night's hangover. Clint, known for his discipline and professionalism, was stunned. Crew members recalled Clint watching Burton stumble through takes, jaw clenched tight, but saying nothing. He never exploded, but everyone could feel the storm behind those eyes. For Clint, showing up unprepared was the ultimate sin. He believed in focus, control, and respect for the craft, and Burton's behavior crossed every line. Clint was always the first one on set, dressed, ready, and focused before sunrise. He'd just stand there watching Richard Burton stumble through take after take, shaking his head in disbelief. One crew member swore you could see the respect draining from Clint's face, like water slipping through his fingers. Burton was deep in the chaos of his stormy marriage with Elizabeth Taylor, and every night seemed to end at the bottom of a glass. Every morning, the crew paid the price. Clint didn't yell or humiliate him. That wasn't his style. He just waited, cold, silent, and clearly disgusted. After Burton blew the same line for the 10th time, Clint quietly muttered, "I'm getting paid by the picture, not by the hour." The crew laughed nervously. But Burton didn't crack a smile. The message hit hard. The breaking point came when Burton was overheard calling Where Eagles Dare nothing more than a paycheck job. To Clint, that was a slap across the face. He believed every project, even a pulpy action flick, deserved full commitment. Years later, when someone asked Clint about working with Burton, he didn't bother sugarcoating it. "Talented guy," he said flatly. "Wasted talent." That was it. Short, sharp, and final. The movie became a box office hit, but their relationship died right there on set. Clint never worked with him again and never mentioned him publicly. For a man who uses silence as a weapon, that was the ultimate punishment. Burton's fate sealed forever. Number 6. Jean Seberg, the woman who broke Clint's patience. To this day, Clint Eastwood avoids talking about Paint Your Wagon, and if you ask why, the answer is simple: Jean Seberg. She wasn't just his co-star in the 1969 musical, she was the reason he swore he'd never mix sympathy with work again. Jean was fragile, unpredictable, and already living under intense FBI surveillance because of her political activism. Her energy on set swung like a pendulum. One day, she'd charm everyone with that sweet, glowing smile, and the next, she'd vanish into her trailer for hours, refusing to come out. The cast tried to stay patient, but Clint wasn't built for chaos. Every delay, every emotional breakdown, every unpredictable moment chipped away at his calm. Behind those steady eyes, you could see the frustration building. The cowboy legend realizing some storms just can't be tamed. Clint was the total opposite of Jean. Focused, punctual, and allergic to drama. By the third week on Paint Your Wagon, he'd had enough of the emotional roller coaster. She'd suddenly stop mid-scene to ask about her motivation, and the whole set would freeze. A script supervisor remembered, Clint would just stare at the floor, waiting for her to finish. You could see him dying inside. Every delay chipped away at his patience, and by then, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. But the real fallout came later. After the movie bombed, critics tore it apart, and Jean Seberg went to the press pointing fingers. She told reporters that Clint's wooden performance had dragged the film down. To Clint, that wasn't just unprofessional. That was straight-up betrayal. He'd spent months trying to keep that chaotic set afloat, and then she turned around and blamed him? That cut deep. From that moment, she was erased from his world. He never said her name again. If anyone mentioned her, he'd quietly change the subject, light a cigar, and walk away without another word. That's how Clint ends things. Not with shouting, but with silence sharp enough to sting. Years later, when the tragic news broke about Seberg's death in 1979, Clint didn't issue a statement or give an interview. Friends said he looked genuinely saddened, but he never softened his stance. He just murmured once, "Some people aren't cut out for the work, and I don't need to deal with it twice." By the time those 6 names were erased from his circle, Clint Eastwood had built a reputation carved from stone. A man who doesn't explode, doesn't gossip, but never, ever forgets. In Hollywood, where people fake smiles and talk forgiveness, Clint's silence speaks louder than any scandal. When he's done with you, you're not just off the list, you're invisible. People close to him call it the Eastwood Code. It's simple. Respect the craft, respect the crew, and don't waste his time. Break that rule, and he won't yell. He'll just look at you with that cold, steady stare that says everything without a single word. One former co-star said, "You don't want Clint quiet around you. When he stops talking, that's when you've lost him." Even now at 95, the man still walks onto a set before anyone else. Focused, steady, no ego, no excuses. He treats filmmaking like a mission. Clean shots, real emotions, no drama. To Clint, Hollywood isn't about flash or fame. It's about showing up, doing the job, and doing it right the first time. Those who betrayed or disappointed him didn't just lose a connection. They lost a piece of history. He gave them a chance to stand beside a legend, and they threw it away. And while some tried to make peace over the years, Clint never looked back. He believes once you show your true colors, there's no repainting the picture. He may not shout, but his silence echoes through decades of cinema, cold, controlled, and unforgettable. For Clint Eastwood, revenge isn't loud. It's calm. It's a door quietly closing forever. Because in his world, there are no second takes, no second chances. And once Clint walks away, he never turns back. So what do you think? Was Clint Eastwood justified in cutting those stars out of his life? Or did his silence cross the line? This man built his career on control, respect, and loyalty. Values that Hollywood seems to forget with every new headline. To some, Clint's no-nonsense approach makes him a dying breed, a man who sticks to his word no matter the cost. But to others, his cold silence feels like a punishment too heavy to carry. Maybe he was right. After all, he's seen the industry twist, fake, and flatter its way through generations. Clint doesn't play that game. Never has, never will. When someone disrespects him, whether it's on set or in the press, he doesn't explode or throw public tantrums. He just walks away and never looks back. That kind of discipline is rare and terrifyingly effective. Still, you've got to wonder, did that silence ever turn into isolation? The man who gave us decades of iconic moments, the squint, the stare, the slow drawl, also built walls so high, hardly anyone can climb them now. Some say that's the price of greatness. Others think it's just loneliness dressed in pride. Yet through every feud, every betrayal, every cold goodbye, Clint stayed consistent. No drama, no regret, no apologies. To him, peace doesn't come from forgiving people who crossed him. It comes from removing them completely. And maybe that's the secret to surviving in Hollywood without losing yourself, knowing exactly when to walk away. So now it's your turn. What's your take? Was Clint Eastwood right to cut these people out for good, or did he let pride get in the way of peace? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to know where you stand. And if you love hearing the hidden truths behind Hollywood's biggest legends, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. There's plenty more untold drama, secrets, and behind-the-scenes shockers coming your way. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.